Today's podcast is brought to you by T-Mobile. Join the thousands tweeting and posting their appreciation for our military and veterans by using hashtag HatsOffForHeroes. When you share your photo or video, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support vets with Team Rubicon.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A.
Away we go, everybody. Dave Rothenberg, Ryan Hollins, again in for Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN app. Before we get into all the reads and the commercials and the sports talk, Ryan Hollins, how are you?
I'm doing much better, brother. I'm really excited to hear from you, man. I mean, we're BFFs, man. You're not getting rid of me, dude. You have found a place in my heart, my man.
Well, that's very sweet of you. Big smile on my face. Ryan, you know what all that makes me think about?
What does that make you think
the
about?
Stephen A. Smith Show brought to you by Discover. Get your free credit scorecard today, even if you're not a Discover customer. It includes your FICO credit score, and checking your scorecard won't hurt your credit. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply. You see Roger Federer lost at Wimbledon? 5 sets. Yes. 13-11 in the fifth.
Gosh. Oh. Sad day. Sad day in tennis.
Yeah. It is.
Is it a sad day in tennis, or are you happy that somebody else is getting some shine?
No, I mean, he is iconic. This is a guy that at 36 years old is doing stuff we've never seen before in the men's game, and he's playing at an unbelievable level, and he gets bounced in 5 sets. He won the first 2 sets over Kevin Anderson, lost the next 3, and listen to this, 268 Grand Slam events he's been in where he's led 2 sets to none, right? He was 266-2. Oh. He's now 266-3 after losing 2 sets to none.
I mean, even in that loss, your hat has to go off for that type of dominance in any sport. And I mean, like tennis is have you played? I'm assuming you played tennis. The excitement that you have.
You're correct.
I feel like you have some
why
tennis
is that such an assumption for you?
You have a different type of excitement when it comes to tennis.
I do love tennis. I grew up playing.
I like it. No. Okay. There you go. It all comes out.
I'm not transparent. No. I did. I grew up playing.
So when I tell you you're wrong, you're not. Remember that statement. You just said you're not transparent. So I know when you're being biased, or as you would say, what was your deal? I'll figure. You'll say it again. You'll say it again whenever you want to discredit anything I want to say.
All right. Not so quite sure what you're talking about, but I do know about this. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts at all. Let's go NBA. We're going to talk to Mike Rodak, covers the Buffalo Bills, in about 10 minutes from right now, and find out the latest of where we are with LaShawn McCoy, because the story, we found little sprinklings, but we want to really know exactly what's going on and what the league is doing, what the Bills are doing. So Mike Rodak will join us in about 10 minutes to help us break that down. We'll start with the NBA. Jeff Van Gundy had an interesting suggestion, and I think this is an interesting place to jump off for us today. A cap, which is a hard cap of $120 million, which makes it much more difficult for the super team to easily come together and be a super team moving forward.
I'm trying to figure out when Jeff Van Gundy became this villain, this anti-player, this throwback, this stir of nonsense. The one thing that
why is it nonsensical?
We play in a players' league. Guys finally have rights now. Guys finally have opportunities to make money. Guys actually have freedoms. They have choices to go and play where they want to play and join up. They have control over their lives. And Van Gundy said he's trying to take control away.
What he's saying is that super teams are not fun for the game. And this is the way to eliminate it. He's not saying let's eliminate guys getting paid a lot of money.
What else do you think a hard cap is going to do? Because that's going to make teams not be able to pay guys, and you won't be able to keep guys under contract. I get it. While you avoid some of these super teams being built, players are not going to make the same money, and a team is going to be stuck being able to pay a guy. So if you give a hard cap, all these teams that have gone over the cap, right?
Yep.
Including the Denver Nuggets. So we're just talking when it's hard cap. The Denver Nuggets, would you call that a super team?
Not at all.
Not even close, and they're over the cap. So what happens is it directly takes money away from the players in which they have earned. There's so much money literally swirling around the NBA that players need to make more and more. I get it. We all hear and see 150 million, 60 million. Guess what? Those owners make billions. They make a lot more because there's somebody that signs those checks.
I
so
get it, but
billions
do
are swirling.
Do you think that the Warriors and their dominance and the fact that Durant goes there and Cousins goes there is good for the NBA?
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. And how would I put this? Boogie Cousins right now on paper, straight up, it's more of a risk to the Warriors than a reward. For one, you get a guy who's likely going to have to sit out half, if not a full percentage of the season next year. The Warriors play fast. Boogie Cousins, coming off of a torn Achilles, is a slower type of player. And then you got to make sure this guy is on his P's and Q's in the locker room. And he's done a lot, and I played with him, and Boogie's one of the most enjoyable personalities that I've played with and I've been around, even though we won't lie, he has his quirks. He's made his share of mistakes in the league, okay? But there are more risk in that move than positives right now. And it's safe to say they don't need Boogie Cousins. This was a move from the players saying we want to get you, and they paid $5.3 million. So everyone's saying that Boogie makes them the super. It doesn't.
They were super team before he went there. But you can't deny that
exactly.
The guy's unbelievable. You can't deny. First of all, they were a super team before he went there. They were elite. Durant went there. Now they're a super team. Now you add Cousins, who maybe he won't be what he used to be. But you can't deny the fact that if he somehow gets back to that, it makes them even a scarier team.
There's more risk. There's 90%
What's the risk
versus the 10%
risk,
reward in that. He could mess, and I'm going to speak, I'm going to be the negative Nancy here. You said the risk. He could ruin your locker room. And the Warriors are that good that if you ruin the locker room from the inside, that's the only way they're going to lose. Fair to say? Right?
100% agreed. But I think that team is too.
The one thing that makes them special, hold on, no, you asked me for the negatives. They play fast. They're the fastest playing team in the league. They spread you out, they shoot threes, and they run. Boogie is already a slower player, even though he stretched his range out to the three-point line. You would want him doing his damage inside. He slows down your pace. When you're playing against Golden State, after about 1 or 2 quarters of it, your hands are on your knees and you're huffing and puffing and trying to figure out how to catch up with the Warriors. Boogie Cousins slows you down. That's a pace that you would love and want to play against. Now that becomes a mismatch problem. And then he's coming off of a torn Achilles. You're not even going to have him in the lineup. So how do you say that it helps or it doesn't help? You just brought more negative attention.
Even if you don't add really Boogie Cousins, you're clearly the best team in the NBA. You just walk to another NBA final.
I say that. I want to clarify. I said that to give you the glass half empty. Okay, and I say there's so much more risk in that way. Oh no, it's a super. Oh no, my name is Dave. I don't want to see Boogie Cousins there. Oh no, guess what? Nobody else offered him. Nobody else offered him. So you want the guy to just obviously you thought he was something more than what he was because of his name, but obviously NBA teams and execs didn't feel the same way. So Boogie took control of his own narrative. I want to know what really the problem with that is. Why can't he be happy? This guy's going to he's going to rehab and get a championship potentially. Okay? So, but to throw out, and like I said, there's that 10% chance that he steps in, he gets healthy, he's back. There's more against Boogie and the Warriors working.
But they don't even need him, Ryan. If he's not even good, they're still going to win a championship.
Agreed, brother. Agreed. But there's more negatives right now than positives. And when you bring in a polarizing name, when you bring in a huge name, that adds more to the fire. If you thought they were villains already, they're all in with this villain thing.
Listen, I just don't like the fact that I can tell you a year out who's going to win the championship. I don't think it's good for the sport, and I think it's time. And Adam Silver said similar last night that it's time to start to look to change this. And there's great teams, and that's fine. But when you have one team realistically that can win the whole thing, and you have all these teams that are dreadful, I think you have a broken system in the NBA right now.
I cannot believe the hypocrisy from you right now.
How so?
I cannot believe the hypocrisy. The biggest problem that people have with the Golden State Warriors is that it's not their team, that it's not the Lakers, that it's not the Knicks, that it's not the Rockets, that it's not one of those other teams. That's the biggest problem.
So you feel great
LA had
about...
no problem. Hold on. Hear this, brother.
Go ahead.
LA had no problem when it was the Showtime Lakers running things, when they had Shaq and Kobe. You heard the same complaints. New York, I got to think to when you guys were actually dominant, but I know one thing about your hypocrisy right now. You wouldn't be complaining if this was the Knicks. You would not. You would not.
I can't even envision living in a world where that was the case, so I can't answer that. Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. But here's the point. They were built genuinely, right? Draymond Green drafted Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, no issue. They were great. I had no problem with that. My issue, and I don't know how you feel about it, is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant couldn't beat them, so then just decided, I can't beat them. You know what I'll do? I'll join them.
Let me ask you. Let me. I know you're going to say I'm dancing around. I have no problem with what Kevin Durant did. You played pickup basketball, right? It's safe to say most of us have played pickup basketball, right?
I think everyone has played pickup basketball. Yes.
Pickup basketball. Now, when you go to the park, have you ever brought a ringer to the park? Have you ever brought a really good player to the park? Have you ever tried to get on a team that was the winning team? Have you wanted to play with good players at the park?
Okay.
I say that to say, if all of us had that opportunity that Kevin Durant had, we all joined the Warriors the exact same way. Safe to say, Kevin Durant had exhausted every option that he had with the Thunder. He stepped into free agency, and if you want to diagnose the Oklahoma City Thunder, they were a team, an organization that essentially, I don't want to say gave up on winning, but they started making moves for the future. Getting rid of Serge Ibaka, trading hard. We can dole down the list. So why can't he go to a place where he could win if that was the only thing that cements his legacy, the only dark cloud over his head, so that he doesn't end up being Charles Barkley?
Why don't we do this?
Why
don't we put it on the back burner for now and get to it later and bring in Mike Rodak, ESPN writer who covers the Buffalo Bills, and there is a whole heck of a lot going on with the Bills and LaShawn McCoy right now. Mike, we appreciate a couple minutes today on ESPN Radio. Thanks, buddy.
No problem. Just another slow week in the middle of the NFL offseason.
Absolutely. And you got the Jerry Richardson statue and the Keim DUI and Bill Bidwell or Michael Bidwell coming out and saying things about the new Supreme Court justice that's nominated. So a lot going on in the NFL, but nothing bigger than LaShawn McCoy. So before we speak about it and potentially incorrectly, let's give you the floor and tell us where are we with this investigation into this woman and into LaShawn McCoy.
Right. So as of this morning, McCoy has hired one of the prominent defense attorneys in Atlanta, a man by the name of Don Samuel, who has represented a lot of high-profile people over the years. So it really appears that side is gearing up for a legal battle that may come here, although I checked in with the district attorney's office down in Fulton County, Georgia, and as of right now, they're not even commenting. So it seems like we're still a little ways away from any possible charges being filed or potentially not filed in this case, and also no new word from police as well as far as their investigation or any suspects about this home invasion that took place Tuesday morning, at McCoy's home outside of Atlanta, where his ex-girlfriend's attorneys say she was living, and they say that she was attacked by a male assailant, and she went to the hospital as a result of those injuries, but we don't know who the suspect is in this case. And in fact, people associated with LaShawn McCoy have insisted that he was in Miami at the time, and everything that he has put on social media also suggests that he has been in Miami. So I don't know if there's a huge question about whether it was LaShawn McCoy himself. I don't think many people are suggesting that it is, but I think the bigger question for investigators and for the NFL is whether he was involved in somehow this going down.
I want to ask you. Let me fast forward a little, and we don't want to state anything that we don't know right now. But as you've seen as a record through the NFL, at some point, do they allow LeSean to play football, or does he have to hold out and wait until there's some type of a ruling? And I really assume, and let me ask you, is this much further than the NFL's, like out of the NFL's hands? Because this is actually a potential criminal case, and there's so many moving parties here. So what has been the track record of the NFL in similar stances?
Well, it hasn't been completely consistent. In some cases, players have been put on the commissioner's exempt list, and in some cases they haven't, and they've been allowed to play until there's been some resolution legally for that player. The new conduct policy that came out, I believe, 2 years ago now, does stipulate that in cases of violent crimes, a player could be put on the exempt list even before charges are filed if the NFL's investigation into it is not complete. So right now, I think it's a question of, would this fall under that category of a violent crime if he's being investigated potentially for a conspiracy, let's say. We don't know that for sure, but hypothetically, if he was being investigated for a conspiracy, would that trigger the exempt list? We don't know that yet. I think that's probably something the NFL, as they go through their investigation, we're only basically 24 hours into it right now, they're going to have to figure out, because the Bills start training camp 2 weeks from tomorrow. And obviously, I think you'd want some sort of resolution before he's on the practice field for the Bills, before all the cameras are there, and before you might have to answer questions. So I'd say there's probably a 2-week timetable there for some clarity about his status, but legally, this is more than likely going to take longer than that.
Mike Rodak joining us here, ESPN Radio. Rothenberg and Hollins in for Stephen A. Obviously, the police are very much involved in this case. Is the NFL conducting their own investigation, Mike, or are they kind of piggybacking on what the authorities find right now?
Well, all we know so far is really what the NFL has said, which is they're reviewing the matter, which is vague, but we do know from history that they do have their own concurrent investigations that often happen alongside whatever legal investigations, whatever criminal investigations may be going on from authorities, from police. So the NFL really hasn't given anything more than that statement so far, but I think it's safe to assume that they have people looking into it themselves. And as we've seen in the past, the NFL can come to its own conclusions through its investigations that may be different than the conclusions that were drawn by police.
Real quick, can you clarify, just so we're all clear, what and might I add, the allegations from both parties are? We saw the photo, we saw LeSean's statements, but what the allegations from both sides, or what the at least for now, the stories are. We're clarifying these are just stories and initial statements. Exactly, and this really is multi-layered. So essentially, it was the Instagram post that the friend of the victim posted yesterday morning that accused McCoy of causing her bodily harm, didn't say directly or indirectly, and also accused him of child abuse, of animal cruelty, and of performance-enhancing drug use as well. So a lot there for the NFL to unpack and to look into, but really unsubstantiated as far as, a simple Instagram post is. You can't prove very much off of that, but it was connected to this home invasion that took place Tuesday morning at a house that we know was owned by McCoy outside of Atlanta, and the attorneys for the victim have said it was a woman named Alicia Corden, who was the ex-girlfriend, or is the ex-girlfriend of LeSean McCoy, who was living there. And we do know that through court filings the past couple months that he has been trying to evict her from that home. So those are really the bare details right now that we know. And it's going to take, I think, some investigation, both from the authorities and from the NFL, to figure out if LeSean McCoy had any role whatsoever in that home invasion, or if he, completely had nothing to do with it.
Mike, it's an unbelievable story, and we look forward to finding out more as we move forward here. Thanks for updating us a little bit here, and we appreciate it. A couple minutes.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
All right, good stuff. That's Mike Rodak, covers the Bills for ESPN. I'm sure you didn't think he'd be dealing with this story right now. Regardless of whether LeSean McCoy is involved, this is a horrendous story. And if he is involved, obviously it makes matters even worse for the NFL and for LeSean McCoy. But, I mean, I'm sure you saw the photos of this woman after the home invasion. She looked absolutely horrendous.
regardless in which, that's horrendous. And as a father, as a son, as a brother, I'm disgusted. Anytime I see something like that. So, hopefully those wounds heal. And I'm not just talking about the physical ones. I'm talking about the emotional ones. And this is honestly a terrible, terrible situation at hand.
Certainly is. All right, we get back into the NBA. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. I don't love the super team in the NBA. Sounds like Ryan is much more on board. Am I wrong? Are you not? You like it, right?
I love it. I love player freedom. Wouldn't you?
He loves the Golden State dominance. I'm turned off by the Golden State dominance. We will discuss that. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. But before we go, Ryan, before you hit the road for any vacation this summer, you visit GNC. All right, you need to stay healthy, and GNC has the highest quality solutions and supplements in the industry. GNC brand products pass up to 150 quality checks. You can be sure you're getting the best prices with GNC's price match guarantee. GNC doesn't just match prices, they'll beat them by $1 or try something new. If it's not right for you, return it for a full refund. You heard right, a full refund. This summer, live well with GNC. Exclusions do apply. See an associate or GNC.com for details. We continue with the NBA. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Are you in favor of a hard cap which would slow down the super teams, or do you like where the NBA is headed? We discuss it next. ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hi, I'm Bryce Harper. Join me and the thousands tweeting and posting their appreciation for our military and veterans by using T-Mobile's hashtag #HatsOffForHeroes. When you share your photo or video with hashtag #HatsOffForHeroes, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support vets with Team Rubicon. So America, keep posting with hashtag #HatsOffForHeroes, and T-Mobile will keep giving.
Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. Official licensee of Major League Baseball Players Association.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
It is the Stephen A. Smith Show. Dave Rothenberg and Ryan Hollins in for Stephen tomorrow as well. ESPN Radio presented by Progressive Insurance with more than 30 unique coverage options available. Progressive knows small business. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. I want to set the record straight, Ryan. In discussing Serena and saying that I don't think she would be all that competitive on the men's circuit, it's not meant as a negative. In discussing her and her greatness is meant as a positive. We started the show discussing how incredibly athletic, and I said and you said she might be the greatest athlete in the history of her sport. So anyone that is reading this the wrong way, that is sitting there thinking, boy, they're all over Serena by thinking that she's not capable, she can't do this. It's completely different. What she has done on the women's circuit is more impressive in my mind than what anyone has done on the men's circuit, maybe in any sport in the history of sport. That was the whole genesis of the conversation to start out.
You're a mess.
How am I a mess?
Like, if somebody crowns me as the greatest of all time, you're the great Ryan Hollins. You just graduated. You achieved this. You made it. You made it. You're the best. And then you throw out a negative? Like, it's still a negative. It's just something you don't do, Dave. Like, I don't know if I want a compliment from you. Like, I don't know how this best man speech that you're going to give me is going to go. Ryan, I love you. You made it to the top. I'm so happy for your matrimony. And boy, I remember the days back in the day when you were something else. I can't believe you. Like, why would you bring that up? Can you be happy for her?
I'm thrilled for her. I think she's unbelievable.
But you don't do that. It's just courtesy, Dave. Is that the New Yorker? In California, we don't do that, okay? That would be taken as a negative thing. You're the greatest of all time, but a man would kick your behind if he had the chance. How about all of them?
Look, our producer thinks that she would go to the Sweet 16 of Wimbledon.
No, she wouldn't, but you don't need to mention it. I mean, are you happy or not?
I'm as happy as you could be. Matt in Jersey. Matt, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hey, boys, how you doing? Great show. You guys are doing a great job. Hey, I tried to think while I was on hold of, like, what sport, females can compete with men. And I really thought, not to sound that females are less in any way, but body types are different. Men can physically get stronger. I tried to dig deep into my mind, and I thought of maybe track and running or speed skating on ice. Maybe those are something that they could compete with men and probably beat up on men. I know plenty of women that'll, beat up men in races, no problem. Now, I don't know about regular sports like, baseball, but I think Serena can hang with a lot of the men. I don't think you're giving her enough credit. I think that just because you could serve the ball really hard, it's more about placement and getting them off. And if she can get to one side of that court and get the ball to the other, whether you're a male or female, you're not going to get to that ball. So I'll let you guys talk about that.
All right, well, thank you. Here's a great tweet, Ryan, from IB Fabulous, and she's right. You don't like the tweets?
I love how we're spinning 2 segments on tennis right now because you are tennis.
Oh my God!
It is so
wrong
tennis.
With you.
This is so tennis. I love it. I don't care. I'm with you, bro. But I love this is just so you, Rothenberg. This is just so you right now. 2 segments of the day on tennis, and we're talking.
But it's not on tennis. It's about the greatness of athleticism, and it just happens to be in tennis.
Oh my gosh!
No,
here's something else.
All right, can I read what IB Fabulous tweets in, which is a great tweet. As a newish mother to a 6-month-old, let me tell you, Serena's basically a superhero to us. She played pregnant, which is amazing when most pregnant women feel at their worst. She trained after a complicated birth and postpartum recovery while breastfeeding. She's a superhero, this woman.
She's a superhero. I'm in. But you're a tennis apologist, and that's what we're throwing out. And you're slightly sexist because I don't know why you would even put out a negative. Don't give me a positive, then give me a negative. Let me enjoy my day. Be happy. She doesn't want to hear that a man would kick her butt on the tennis court. This is what you started. What would you call them? Backhanded complimenting Dave Rothenberg.
Backhanded compliment.
It is a backhanded compliment.
We're having a conversation.
Yeah, but it's like a big deal, and you made it a negative.
I didn't make it a negative. We started out discussing how amazing what she's done is. You just don't like tennis, so that's your issue. Anthony in Howard Beach wants to talk about the greatest athletes ever. Anthony, you're on ESPN Radio.
How you guys doing today?
Doing good,
What's
brother.
up, Anthony?
All right, fellas. Listen, all due respect to Miss Williams and all athletes around, the greatest athlete who ever walked the face of the earth, in my opinion, is a man from Mississippi Valley State named Jerry Rice. For a lot of reasons, obviously, but one of the only guys I've ever heard of who came back from an ACL tear in September to December, came back and played 2 games. I've never heard anybody else who's done that. And at 55 years old today, according to him, he can still ball.
Well, ball is subjective. What do you mean? You can ball at the NFL level now, though.
I'm just copying what he said. Those were his comments. Whether he meant them as a joke or serious, I'm just saying. Also, too, if you take a look at him today, he's still in tremendous shape at 55.
Well,
he's a freak of nature.
Terrell Owens just ran a 4.4 in his 40s. That's just, we're going athletic. And Jerry is one of my guys. But Dave, I want to throw this to you. You always ask me questions, but I want to throw this to you. When we categorize, since you want to throw it out, you're throwing it out, and you're giving Serena this backhanded compliment today.
Oh my God! How do you find a negative in the positivity?
No, you did. But when we talk about greatest of all time, because this debate is not going to be old, and so we got to clarify a little bit. Are we talking greatest athlete of all time? Are we talking about dominating an era? Are we talking about just the best player? If you pair them up one-on-one, because we have to look at
so let's just say individual
and team
sport.
Sports.
Let's keep it at individual sport, because it's hard to compare LeBron, who's in a team sport, or Michael, who's in a team sport. As far as individual sport, you can't tell me that there has ever been, and by the way, you think it's negative, I'm being as positive as humanly possible. You can't tell me that there's been an athlete in an individual sport that has dominated that sport more than Serena Williams. Tiger Woods hasn't dominated golf more than she has.
So it's just on dominance. You're just putting this together on dominance alone.
On dominance, on capability, on whatever you want to call it. On how incredibly, on longevity of being so talented, whatever you want to call it. How do you want to analyze it?
It's just tough always, and I want you to hear this. Isn't it tough when we compare a women's sport, and I love my women, please don't jump on me, women. Give me a hug. I'm hugging you, and I'm saying this at the same time. That all women don't necessarily want to participate in sports. And as young men, we're shoved the basketball or the football or the track shoes or the boxing gloves in our face, whether we like it or not. So we have more of a chance to actually find out if we're great. Like, there's probably a girl walking around right now that could be greater than Serena, but we would never know because she's not going to pick up a sport, and let alone a tennis racket, Dave. Like, I'm just going to be honest.
What a ridiculous statement that is. I can't compare the people that don't play the sport. There's probably a billion guys that would be great in certain sports also. But how can you bring that into the mix? You can only compare what we know.
When you credit the NBA and you make it to a 1% or a soccer and you make it to a 1% of those sports, you truly are the best of the best because the competition you didn't just beat somebody, you beat everybody. You get what I'm saying?
And so is she. Everybody. She's beaten everybody. I think what she's done is more impressive than what Tiger Woods has done.
What I asked, Dave. You're not even answering the question. Don't run from it. I got some track shoes for you, but you don't need them today. Don't run from it.
I don't understand your question.
How do you not see a difference that everybody can compete in a basketball or football due to the popularity of the sport? And I don't want to blame tennis or Serena. Those are just the circumstances. That's what she chose. But if you're going to throw out this greatest of all time, she's not playing against the greatest. She's not playing against the same competition level of a LeBron James or a Kobe or a Michael. But of course she is.
She's playing against the elite that her sport has to offer.
Would you not agree that there's somebody out there that has not ever even had an interest or a knowledge of playing the sport that could be greater than her, but you would never know?
But can't you say that about anything?
Basketball, it's very less likely. Soccer is very less likely. Football, really unlikely. Really. There's 60 guys who make the football team, Dave. Did you play on the football team or are you just a tennis guy?
No, tennis, a little basketball.
And guess what? Everybody makes the football team. Everybody. Everybody knows if they're good or not.
But that has nothing to do with it. The fact is that you're going to punish her because the level of competition is not what you think LeBron goes up against. That's not fair.
I mean, it's just the truth. I don't want to punish her. It's just the truth. And since you want to throw these double negatives out, you want to give these backhanded compliments. Serena, you're the greatest of all time, but I can beat you, and I'm Dave Rothenberg.
I didn't say I could beat her. You're putting words in my mouth.
In so many words,
Ryan, you're turning into a bad guy. You know when something's so obvious, they call it a no-brainer, Ryan. Well, here's the big one. Barbasol is finally making razors. Introducing the Barbasol Ultra 6 Plus. It's got 6 ultra-thin blades for a close, comfortable shave. You can go to Barbasol.com, I should say, right now and save some money. That, my friends, is a no-brainer, too. Barbasol.com. A ridiculous game that is being played in sports. Shouldn't be. We'll discuss that and some interesting Lakers tidbits as well. Coming up, Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN app.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm as happy as a clam.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will be, quote, as happy as a clam, unquote. The Geico legal team cannot accurately verify clams even experience the complex human emotional state known as happiness. As an invertebrate mollusk living half submerged on the ocean floor, with no arms, legs, or wireless access, what's there to be happy about? A clam's all like, oh, I'm so happy I didn't get turned into New England clam chowder today. Pronounced regionally as chowder. Chowder. Oh, that's so fun to say. What were we talking about again?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
It is the Stephen A. Smith Show. Dave Rothenberg and Ryan Hollins in for Stephen.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Show brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Congratulations on your Croatian team. Big win over England yesterday.
I want to rub this in your face because as we talked about the World Cup, me and Goran, we're not pro-Croatian. As a matter of fact, you were cheering for England.
But because I was cheering for England doesn't mean I was anti-Croatia.
You definitely are. You with us or not? You with us or not? Make up your mind.
I was rooting for England. Why does that make me bad?
Well, I want to rub some Croatian pie in your face right now. Is that okay?
I don't know if that thing exists, but sure, you can rub it all over the place.
Oh my gosh, go Croatia!
Can I? So Croatian and France in the finals on Sunday. Can I bring up something about this World Cup, which might be the dumbest thing that sports has going right now?
No problem, Dave. You've had your share during the week, but we all have our moments.
I don't know what that means. A third place game? Really? A third place game? There are people from England and Belgium that are going to be glued to their televisions and singing and dancing to come in third? Really? Could you imagine if the Celtics and the Rockets played a best-of-3 series to see who is the third best team in the NBA?
Well,
We'd laugh at it.
Yeah, but Dave, this is not going to be a best of three. Soccer is a celebration. It's the World Cup. You can't get enough soccer. You get to see your guys for a last time. When I played in the under 19s, cup play, we went undefeated, and then we played for a third-place game because of the point system. But nonetheless, it meant something. And third-place games are about pride. And I have a bronze medal from the Pan American Games also. So playing in that third-place game, this is for your country. This is a medal. This means something, Dave. So can you please not
means nothing.
Disparage.
Ridiculous. I guarantee you, if you went up and down and asked everybody from Belgium on the team and asked everybody from England on that team and said, do you guys want to be playing in this ridiculous game on Saturday? They would say absolutely not.
So you're telling me my bronze medal means nothing?
I don't even think they give out a bronze medal. It's not the Olympics. They don't get medals for the World Cup.
What? So you think they're playing for something? They're
playing for nothing.
Something.
They're playing.
No,
you think Harry Kane's going to be going back to England with a celebration because they came in third?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Now maybe they expected to win and they didn't win, but there's something to step away with. And seeing that the World Cup is every 4 years, that third place means something. Everybody don't get it. And the one thing, obviously, everybody can get up to play in a championship. Everybody can't get up to play in the third. Yeah,
because nobody cares.
Oh, people care. Your hard work means something. Your life's work means something. If it's
they won't even put the actual guys in. They're going to put like the bench mob in for the third place game.
You get something for coming in third, Dave. It means something. It's about pride at that point, and it means something.
Would you want to watch the Jaguars take on the Vikings in a third place game? One game, third place, Jaguars Vikings.
It's the same thing. Different game, Dave. There are medals. There are different medals here that go. There's cup play. No.
What is that? Hang on.
It's a different game. It's a 4-year deal. This isn't a yearly annual deal, Dave.
So what?
Dave, you're something else. This is just disrespectful to our athletes, the hard work that they're putting in, the countries. You are disrespecting women and countries.
How am I disrespecting? I'm talking about men's soccer. Else. Nobody cares. So you're going to watch the third place game on Saturday?
I'm not watching the World Cup regardless. I'm just cheering.
Well, your beloved Croatia's in the finals on Sunday. How could you not watch it?
I'll watch the finals, but you're talking about as a whole. No,
You'll watch the finals because it matters, and you won't watch the third place game because it's completely irrelevant. Isn't that true?
If Croatia was in it, I would watch. If Croatia was in it, I'd watch. I would.
So full of it. Nobody. I mean, come on. Can we please? College basketball used to do this. Did you know that? They used to have a third place game.
No, I didn't.
And they got rid of it because it's ridiculous.
You know what stinks at UCLA? My senior year, we make it to the final game. We get blasted by Florida. Anywhere else, this would be a celebration. At UCLA, we got 16, 20, whatever national championships. And guess what? They could care less that I made it to the championship. They could care less that we even made it to the Final Four. It's just a story. It's forgotten at UCLA. Anywhere else, you're a national hero for doing that in college. UCLA, not so much. Who cares?
Yeah, but that's coming in second they don't care about. Now we're talking about coming in third in soccer.
Yeah, but I'm a little distraught by that. My life's work actually comes in second place, but no one cares if you don't win the national championship in L.A.
Right. Well, third place game, you'll be glued to your television. England and Belgium will battle it out on Saturday in a big matchup to see who can come in third in the World Cup. All right, Lakers and some statements from GM Rob Pelinka. We'll hear that and we'll analyze it, and we'll do it next right here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Today's podcast is brought to you by T-Mobile. Join the thousands tweeting and posting their appreciation for our military and veterans by using hashtag #HatsOffForHeroes. When you share your photo or video, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support vets with Team Rubicon.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Hour 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Dave Rothenberg and Ryan Hollins with you. Hey, sports fans, the sun is shining. Beautiful outside everywhere. Temps are rising. Summer's officially here. Grab your friends, blast some tunes, ignite those coals, because weather like this waits for no one. Kingsford Charcoal, start something. So the Lakers have certainly made big noise this offseason so far. They signed LeBron James. They signed Rajon Rondo. They still have Ingram. They still have Lonzo Ball, who's a big name, certainly. and their GM held a press conference where he said a couple things that you kind of scratch your head about, correct, Ryan Hollins?
Somebody take the mic away from Pelinka. Please, somebody take the mic away from him.
Well, what did he say? We'll listen to Pelinka in a second, but what did he say that has you so horrified here?
This is something for you. Like, don't mess it up. And in professional sports, just in anything, when you've made choices, you don't need to explain them to everybody. You are in a position of power for a reason. And it's only when you go out explaining yourself, people start to think that you may be wrong in your actions. You know who you signed. You know why you signed them. You know why you got them. You don't need to go out and explain to the world. You don't need to, we signed Rondo and we signed Stevenson because we're going to try to be the best us that we can be. That's your goal. You don't need to tell us. You don't need to apologize for who you signed or explain it or throw LeBron in the equation. LeBron is trying to get out of the equation of being GM or being coach, and he doesn't want to be in those talks. Yes, he's going to be a part of them, but LeBron wants to just play basketball. And LeBron told us for hours what we needed to do. He don't want to be a part of that. He don't want you. Less is more. Less is so much more in this situation. You got a good thing by getting LeBron James to the Lakers. Signed, sealed, delivered. That's the big piece. Everything else falls in line from there on out. Now don't mess it up.
Well, I don't know that
right?
That you can mess it up once you bring LeBron James into the mix. Here is Rob Pelinka, Lakers general manager, saying the LeBron signing validates everything that they've planned to do.
When LeBron chose to come here, it was the ultimate validation for the moves we've made and what we've been building since we started. We're on a journey towards bringing the 17th banner to the Los Angeles Lakers, and we know we still have work to do to get there. And listen, the road to an NBA championship has to go through the team that won last year. And we all know the guys up north have a special group. But one of the ways to attack what they have is with defensive toughness. Irvin and I had a conversation, and LeBron echoed this sentiment that I think to try to play the Warriors in their own game is a trap. No one's going to beat them at their own game. And so that's why we wanted to add these elements of sort of defense and toughness and depth and try to look at areas where we'll have an advantage.
I don't know why you're so bothered by that.
For one, we start off with the biggest humble brag of all time. LeBron really sealed all the hard work that we don't need to know that, man. You got him in. You did a good job. You don't need to tell everybody that you're doing your job. Hey, guess what, Dave? You know what? We're doing radio, and I think I'm doing a fine job because you don't need to do that.
So you're bothered by the fact that the guy is patting himself on the back for 10 seconds? I don't understand why you're so bothered. Even if you don't like it, even if you think it's not the way to go about it, why is this that big of a deal?
Because I want leadership from my front office. And I'm not
you just signed the best player in the world.
Listen, we can dive into that later because Jerry West had his comments, and I got my comments too. But I want leadership from my front office. I don't want insecurities. And when you got to explain yourself, it shows insecurities. And I get it. Rob is new at this. Magic is new at this. Yes, these are things that you learn. But as a player, you don't need to give away too much. Go and get a general comment. Let the media speculate and guess and think and say, great move, bad move, whatever. Let them do that. You worry about you. And when you get on the court, let your game speak for itself. Let the player speak for itself. Let the product in which you put out speak. Because now this is the same problem you had last year with Lonzo. Magic said he's going to be a Hall of Famer, this and that. He'll be up there with me in the jersey. And now everything that Lonzo did from there out was highly, highly scrutinized. Now you do the same thing again. Now that LeBron is there, and LeBron's already lived up to those shoes, but you put the spotlight back on yourself. So if these guys like Rondo, LeBron's not in question, right, Dave? He's not questioned. We know what LeBron is, right, Dave?
Absolutely.
You go at JaVale McGee, you go at Lance, you go at Rondo, and you put pressure on those guys that they don't need. And yes, they're coming off amazing seasons, but you don't want them to revert back, and you don't want anybody questioning those moves, and you don't need to explain to anybody why you made them. We know why you made them, okay? If somebody don't understand it, they don't understand basketball, and there's more moves to be made. Why do it? Dave, why? Help me. I mean,
I don't know why you're
sense?
so bothered. I don't know why you're so bothered by this. I really don't. I can't figure it out. I don't think it's a big deal. So he says this is the plan. This validates what we've been doing. This is the team that we're shooting for. Everybody knows that. This is how we think we can and can't go about trying to beat them. I don't know why you're so bothered by this.
May I ask this, Dave? If you've ever made a move, and as husbands, we are the heads of our household. And I get it, to our wives, we got to explain to the inner workings. But would you ever go outside of your household or something you've done and had to explain? Well, I kind of.
Well, nobody cares. Nobody cares about. People are interested in the Lakers signing of LeBron and what the future holds and how they think that they can go and compete with Golden State. Nobody cares if I punish my kid for cursing in school. Nobody cares about that stuff. If people cared and they were out there asking, sure, I would answer it.
It tells me that you feel like you're wrong because people have questioned the moves. And now when I hear a statement like that, it shows me you're questioning your moves and you're trying to explain them. You don't need to explain them. Less is so much more. And Dave, you made the mistake last year. I don't get why you haven't learned your lesson with Lonzo Ball. Why come, Rob, and do the same mistake again? I know you're new at this, but learn from your mistakes. Listen, success comes from failures, brother. And every time you fall flat on your face, which you are going to do at any possession, you humble yourself is going to happen at every part of your life. Why not learn from it, Dave? Why not?
More Rob Pelinka saying the way to go about going after Golden State is not with pure shooters to compete with that team.
We did not want to go out and just sign specialists like, oh, this guy can just shoot. We wanted tough two-way players that could defend with a level of toughness and also make shots. And listen, the road to an NBA championship has to go through the team that won last year. And we all know the guys up north have a special group. But one of the ways to attack what they have is with defensive toughness. I think we saw that in the Houston series.
See, to me, that makes perfect sense. I know what they're great at, and I'm not going to build a team that's going to play the same way. I'm going to build a team that's built to play differently and more effectively than they're capable of doing.
I agree that you don't try to beat Golden State. Great point. But again, why do you need to talk about it? I love the picks that they made, but please don't make an ignorant statement to say that you don't need a pure shooter. You don't need a guy who can make shots, because last year the biggest problem for the Cavaliers in the finals, and you got to take this into play because you still have LeBron James, learn from that lesson. They didn't have guys that made shots. And Kyle Korver, the one shooter on the floor, he was face guarded. Now, if you beat Golden State, Dave, there's three things that you have to do, and you have to all play almost perfect. First thing, you have to be able to shoot the ball. You got to make shots, because now you spread the floor for a guy like LeBron James, and you're not just going to beat him any other way. You got to make them pick their poison. Two, you need versatile defenders. Yes, great job. They got defensive versatility. Why? Now you switch every single screen, and now you don't get put in rotation, because if Golden State puts you in rotation, it's a problem. And lastly, I'm with them. You got to be physical. But, Rob, don't tell me you doing your job and you don't think you need shooters to beat Golden State.
He's not saying that they don't need shooters. No, he's not saying they don't need shooters. No, he's saying we're not going to attack them the way they attack. We're not going to get 5 shooters and play the same game as them. He's saying we're going to be a defensive team with LeBron. Of course they're going to have shooters. Everybody has to have shooters, but they're going to be a different formula to try and win a championship than what this club is currently doing.
Dave Rothenberg, I profusely shake my head. Now, granted, you don't need 10 shooters on the roster around LeBron James. I'm not with that. I get it. You have liabilities on defense. Then ideally you have a great 3-and-D player. But now you got the inner workings. You need shooters around what you have. The only shooter on the team is Kyle Kuzma. Second up, KCP is a capable guy, but he's not a guy who just knocks down shots. You need a dead-eye shooter. And yes, you need the playmakers. LeBron is getting older. He needs to spend some more time on the bench. He needs to rest. He needs to know that there's other guys who can make plays outside of him. That was discussed. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't discussed, it was understood. You can't run a guy 34 years of age going into next year into the ground. He's 33 now to be 34. It just doesn't make sense. But to say you don't need shooters in an era of shooting? So listen, hear this, Dave. And I'm going to throw this out quick. Golden State in the finals was able to show bodies to LeBron James and at the same time recover out to the three-point line and take away the three ball. You can't do both. You have to make somebody, and I'll say it again, pick their poison. So when you don't have a dead-eye shooter, you don't pick your poison, and it straps you down as a coach because your plays don't work. Fair enough?
Fair enough. I don't have an issue with that, but I don't have an issue with Pelinka and explaining the formula and what they're trying to do.
Don't tell me you don't have a problem and you got a problem, dog. And you know basketball. Like, you know basketball. And then you throw LeBron James in something he don't want to be in. Dog, he wants to play basketball. LeBron helped us look at our roster and up and down. Like, don't throw him in that. Rob, do your job as a GM. We know LeBron will be a part of it, but now don't throw him in. Don't throw him in that. No need. Let him play ball.
Let's take a call or two, and there's something I want to get to that's happening in New Jersey that I think a lot of people don't even realize is happening this coming weekend. Let's go to John in Atlanta. John, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hey, fellas.
Hey,
Ryan, man. I love you, brother, but you said something the other day. I work nights, so normally I catch the podcast, and I'm glad I can catch you today. How do you think that Paul George is better than Klay Thompson?
For one, we've never seen Klay Thompson on another team. For two, to even know that Paul George, by versatility, by size, and that ain't a far reach. That ain't a far reach. You can argue back and forth for that, brother. And lastly, thank you for listening, my man, and coming back and having the gumption to call Ryan Hollins again, man. Much love, my man.
Yeah, wait, Ryan, you gave someone else the nod. You gave Kyrie the nod over Paul George because you said Kyrie's a champion. Klay is also a champion. We've also seen Klay Thompson score over 60 points. I'd actually tweeted you. We actually seen Klay Thompson score over 60 points, only dribbling the ball 18 times. We've also seen Klay Thompson score 30-something points in a quarter. He's also a two-way player like Paul George. And Paul George probably only like 1 inch taller than Klay Thompson.
Have you seen Klay Thompson create his own?
And we've seen Klay step up in the playoffs, and we haven't seen playoff P step up in the playoffs yet.
Have you seen Klay Thompson outside of that Golden State system?
I've seen Paul George.
No. I asked you a question. Have you seen him outside of that playoff system?
Team, Ryan? He didn't make the All-Star team.
You still haven't answered my question. One, you haven't seen him out of the system. Two, you haven't seen him put the ball on the floor. And three, the guy, yes, he's dependent on other guys passing him the basketball. So we ultimately don't know. You've seen Paul George in different systems. Paul can put the ball on the floor. He can run pick and roll. He can post up. He can defend 1 through 5. So there's so many different elements to Paul George's game. I love what Klay does. He's the greatest 3-and-D basketball player of all time for his shooting and his defense. But no, I'm giving Paul George the nod as an all-around superstar, a guy who can shoot and can dribble and do it all, my man.
All right, John, we appreciate the phone call. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. How can you blame Klay Thompson, though? I mean, he's only been on one team, so you're going to punish him because that's the only team he's ever been on? He was terrific before Durant got there. You
blame Serena, and she's the greatest woman of all time, but all women don't play tennis. I'm sorry. If I'm Klay Thompson, I stay in Golden State and win. That's part of why Kevin Durant
but I don't think that detracts from his greatness. I mean, he's great.
If you're comparing to Paul George, I'm taking Paul George. I'm taking Paul. Now, it depends on team and system, but I'm putting him there. I'm sorry. Paul does more, and that's a fact.
Jay, South Carolina. Jay, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
What's up, brother?
Go ahead.
I just want to touch on the Golden State LA thing real quick. Pretty much, I agree as far as whatever whoever it was that was saying that they need defense. I'm a big boxer fan. It's like boxing. Styles make fights. You don't want to take the best boxer and try to outbox him. That's not going to work. You need to bring something new to the addition. So if you got a great boxer, what you want to do, you want to get in his kitchen. You want to make that fight something he's not used to doing. And the same thing you want to do with the Warriors. You're not going to outshoot the Warriors. But if you can give them tough defense, make them have to adjust to what you're doing, then you put that ball game more in your field, so to speak. You see what I'm saying? And that's all I really had.
Love your thoughts, your sentiments, brother. But one thing that you have to notice is you have to score, and you have to score very efficiently against Golden State, and you got to defend. That's what makes them tough. You have to do it all against them. Yes, the defense has to be there, but the scoring even more so has to be there too. And you're going against some of the greatest scorers of all time, if not the top 3 or top 5 in the league right now on the same team at the same darn time, my man. So no, you gotta be able to score, and you'll get run out the gym. Trust me, I played against them. I don't say this from accident. I don't say this because I didn't read a scouting report. I wasn't on the floor because I didn't watch it. You can hold them scoreless, but guess what? You ain't gonna score either. And now in today's NBA, we used to think in the past, you win with rebounding and defense, win championships. Well, guess what? Steph Curry, my man, he lets you know you win with shooting, you win with scoring, and you win with capable, versatile defense.
And to be able to beat that team, you have to play at an unbelievably high level. All right, let's do a 180 here. Something's happening in Jersey this weekend, which I think is really interesting. All right, a legal sports book opens Saturday, the first to do so on the same property, Ryan, that hosts NFL football. Actually, 2 football teams. Ooh. FanDuel Sportsbook opens at the Meadowlands in Jersey on Saturday, and it's going to be adjacent to MetLife Stadium, where both the New York Giants and the New York Jets happen to play. I don't think people realize when the NFL season starts and you can walk next door to where you can go take in the Giants and or the Jets, how big of a story and how big of a deal this actually is.
Part of me has a fear that you're going to see people losing a lot of money because you're going to allow fans to just really, really have their free reign on betting. And a part of me looks at the other side and says, if you're not mature enough to make a bet, don't make it. And you're going to lose a hard lesson by going overboard on these things. And you know what? I think it's good for the sport. As long as players are making more money, leagues make more money, you know, Dave Rothenberg makes more money, I'm in.
Well, I think it is good for the sport because I think listen, fantasy sports is good for the sport. Gambling is good for the sport. I think anything that puts more interest into it from more people makes it better for the sport. You know, you could be a Giants fan, you could be a Rams fan, you can be a Raiders fan, and you watch your team and they win or they lose. But after that, I mean, if you have Carlos Hyde, the Browns running back on your fantasy team, all of a sudden, the Browns are relevant to you. So if they're playing a game at 425 against, you know, a dreadful football team, the Dolphins, Brown, 425, and you're excited about that, all of a sudden, you know, there's a lot of excitement that surrounds this football game. Why?
Dave, how do you feel about this? These bets are getting ridiculous, or maybe we're just hearing about the ridiculousness of them, and now that you hear of them, people are more so adapt to be doing that. People are betting about things that in which they have really, really no control. Where Kawhi,
but that's what betting is. Every bet you make, you have no control.
Well, how about this one, though? Where's Kawhi Leonard getting traded? Where's LeBron James signing? People are betting on where a guy's getting traded or signing.
How is it different to bet on where LeBron James or Kawhi Leonard are going to sign, or to betting on the Cowboys covering the Giants 4.5 points?
Well, let me ask ethically, if a guy makes a move for his family and you lose a couple $1,000, you're going to be upset that he made a choice for his family that didn't go accordance with you. Don't you think that's kind of a bad setup for the player, or just ethically something wrong there?
No, listen, what's the difference if you bet on where Kyrie Irving is going to play next year and you lose it, or if you're betting on the Celtics laying 4 points and Kyrie Irving lets the guy go to the basket and lay it in with no time left? It makes no difference. Well, both are going to frustrate you about him.
But don't you know, within a game, the guy tried his hardest to win. Within where a guy's going to land is kind of ridiculous, and then
you can bet on anything.
Be upset because he didn't go.
You can walk into a sports book, and if they don't have that wager on the board, you can ask them. You could bet on where Baker Mayfield is going to go. You could bet on what number pick Saquon Barkley or Sam Darnold or Marvin Bagley are going to be. You could bet on who's going to win the presidency of the United States, who's going to win, leadership of other countries. You can bet on anything you want.
Hey, Dave, so I understand that, but I'm talking as a player. Somebody upset and irritated with you and pushing your choice for your family because they want to make some money? I'm talking the ridiculousness of that. I understand the game. I understand points. I understand fantasy football. I'm addicted to it also. I'm in, brother. But I'm asking you, choices like that, is that not ridiculous? And I get it. It's been there. But the element is now it's more accessible. Now it's on your phone. Now it's being broadcast by guys like Dave Rothenberg. So Rothenberg, I mean, is there not some moralness there? Does the limit stop? I mean, Rothenberg's going to say yes 5 times on ESPN Radio. Place your wagers 27-1. I mean, Dave, come on, something has to stop here.
I mean, listen, I think it's rampant. And I think there's a lot you can gamble on, and I think that's. But I don't think people are going to get angry. I mean, you think of LeBron James signs with the Lakers, that people are going to go up to him and say, I had $10,000 on you signing with the 76ers and you screwed me. I don't think people are going to say that or be upset like that.
My brother, if somebody goes all in on a bet, in which they will do, and they lose money that they don't have, and that's unfortunately a part of gambling and responsibility that you should have, you're going to be pretty upset. You're going to be very, 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 very upset, my man. Dave, come on, dude. Come on, don't tell me just because you won't do it.
You'd be upset, but I don't think you take it out. You don't place a wager on something like that to be upset at the person who's making that decision, right? You're doing it for either financial reward or for fun. You can't blame the participants.
You're something else. You're something else. You have been ridiculous all week long. You're something else. You are something else. And I can't get enough of you. You are my favorite guy. I can't stand you and I love you at the same time, man.
When you're hiring, Ron, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screener questions based on your job requirements, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed. It seems that a former NBA star was arrested in Vegas for being upset with a wager he placed. We'll discuss that next. It's Rothenberg. It's Hollins in for Stephen A. ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hi, I'm Bryce Harper. Join me and the thousands tweeting and posting their appreciation for our military and veterans by using T-Mobile's #HatsOffForHeroes. When you share your photo or video with #HatsOffForHeroes, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support vets with Team Rubicon. So America, keep posting with #HatsOffForHeroes and T-Mobile will keep giving.
Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. Official licensee of Major League Baseball Players Association.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
It is the Stephen A. Smith Show. Dave Rothenberg and Ryan Hollins in for Stephen. Now, Ryan, be sure you're getting the highest quality supplements at the best prices with GNC's price match guarantee, or you can try something new. If it's not right for you, return it for a full refund. Stay tuned for that story, full refund. This summer, live well with GNC. Exclusions apply. See an associate or GNC.com for details. I think it's a friend of yours, right? Are you friendly with one Charles Oakley?
That's my Big 3 coach. You didn't know that? Big Oak? Yeah.
Well, he didn't do a very good job. Didn't do a very good job coaching last night or on Sunday night. He was arrested in Las Vegas for committing or attempting to commit a fraudulent act in a gaming establishment. The Nevada Gaming Control Board said in a statement on earlier today to ESPN. So here's what happened. Charles Oakley was gambling in Vegas, which there's no crime in that, and he put down a $100 bet. No crime in that. Received his cards. No crime in that. Didn't like them. No crime in that. Decided, I will take my $100 bet back because I don't like my cards. Crime in that. It's considered a Class B felony. If convicted, the violator is subject to a sentence of 1 to 6 years in state prison and a fine of no more than $10,000. You might want to talk to your head coach this weekend.
You know what? Everybody's been there. Everybody's seen that money slip away in Vegas, and I was out there for Summer League, and I didn't gamble, but I watched some people they got laid out. My guy Todd Ramazar, Dr. Pat, got my people. They got laid out.
I'm sure they love you mentioning them by name of who got laid out in Vegas.
Oh yeah, they got laid. Yeah. It was ugly. It was uglier than Sam Cassell at the tables. Okay, it was going down. Okay. And everybody's been there, and I saw even I wanted to grab their money. Everybody's wanted
I've never
to do
been
that.
there. I used to gamble more than anybody, and I would go to Atlantic City, and we'd put you can't take money. You can't take your chips back.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You've never lost and wanted to.
Who wants to lose?
Okay, but what I'm saying is it never got so bad that you want to pull back and say, "Oh man, that's my ride."
Of course, there's a bunch of times that I felt like, God, I wish I didn't have this bet up there and I wanted it back.
Well, my coach
I didn't do it.
Hey, my coach tried it. Well, he spoke for all of us. We're gonna find out the consequences now. Okay,
for $100.
I hope he's at the game. Big Three, shout out Big Three, man. Y'all don't miss. It's an amazing experience.
Poor Charles Oakley. He was booked into the Clark County Detention Center with that incident. The board
We're going to rally around Oak like Meek Mills. We're going to have free Oakley shirts on. We got to get him out. He spoke for the people on this one. He did what everybody wants to do, okay? You want to do it. I want to do it at one point in time. I know Todd Ramazar, Dr. Pat wanted to do it as we went in. Yes. Oh, gosh.
Poor Charles Oakley for a $100 wager. Was there a tweet you wanted to read before we get to some of these calls?
Listen. Here's something, and I want to spell this out for you. At the Ryan Hollins, you're getting way too worked up for no reason. I agree with the co-host. As Aaron Rodgers says, relax. My response to you, not to the tweeter, Dave Rothenberg, my brother. This is why I speak of myself in the third person. Nobody's going to know your name. They don't know your name. You were referred to as the co-host. And I know you're so much more than that. You are the best man. You are Ryan Hollins' best man. So Ryan Hollins is sending a message to you to speak of yourself in the third person just a little more.
I will not be referring to myself in the third person. You can tell people my name.
Dave Rothenberg?
You can call me Dave Rothenberg. When I close out a segment, I'll say I'm Dave Rothenberg. But I don't need to sit here and say Dave Rothenberg thinks this.
Well,
they did a Seinfeld about that.
Well, Ryan Hollins told you so, and it's not out of
Dave Rothenberg's not playing that game. Ryan Hollins. Let's go to some calls. 888-SAY-ESPN. Jack in Montana. Jack, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hi, yeah. I'm just calling because you guys are talking about that whole greatest athlete all time, and I 100% Serena belongs in that argument. But I heard Ryan say a couple times, he mentioned track and field, but he never specifically said the name Usain Bolt. As a guy who competed in track in college and also coaches it now, the 100-meter dash is pretty much all athleticism. It's and he trained for it, but it's crazy how much athleticism that takes. So that checks one box. His longevity, I mean, he dominated that sport, his 100, 200, all of that, the relays for years. I mean, the accessibility of the sport, Ryan talked about, there's not enough people who participate in tennis or golf or whatever. Track's the easy sport, running's the easy sport to pick up. Yeah, really, I mean, there's just no reason why he shouldn't be, at least in the conversation. So that's my view of it.
Well, that's the call, Jack. How about like Carl Lewis, who won, what did he won the long jump? What else did he win? The 4x100?
I mean, you got FloJo, you got Jackie Joyner-Kersee, you got Jesse Owens, you got Michael Johnson. I mean, we can go down the list. And hats off, because he actually, Usain, transferred over from the 400 early in his career to the 1 and the 2. And for a guy that's tall, it's like, no, you're not running the 1, but he changed the game. And no, my man, I disagree. Everybody doesn't want to get out on the track and run. Everybody doesn't want to go through those two-a-days. Everybody's not going to put in the work. There's a reason why I rolled out of bed my end of my high school career and got third in the state in California in the triple jump. It's California, Texas, Florida when it comes to track and field. I shouldn't have been able to do that. Ryan Hollins isn't that special, okay? I mean, kind of 10 years in the NBA, but I'm not that special. Like, that shouldn't happen, right?
I don't know. I don't have the answer for you. Kenny in New Jersey. Kenny, you're on ESPN Radio. Kenny
don't want to talk to you. Because you don't refer to yourself in the third person.
Because it's weird. Anybody that refers to themselves in the third person has a screw loose.
No. Sometimes
that's strange. Who refers to themselves in the third person?
Look, man, it was really cool. I got to do Jalen and Jacoby today, and they showed it while we were working. That was really cool. That's my humble brag of the day, my Rob Pelinka style humble brag. It was really cool. It's a bucket list. But when on TV, you don't need to refer to yourself. But it's radio. You got to. They don't know my voice.
Well, I'm telling them,
guy?
hey, he's Ryan Hollins. I'm Dave Rothenberg. I don't understand. Like, Dave Rothenberg thinks that the Lakers did a great job this offseason. That sounds bizarre.
Well, you're just my co-host for right now, according to Twitter.
That's fine. I'll take what I can get. Kevin in Long Island. Kevin, you're on ESPN Radio.
What's up, guys? I just wanted to go back on something I said before about Paul George and Klay Thompson. I think Klay Thompson is much better than Paul George. He's on pace to beat Ray Allen's record. He's probably the second best shooter of all time. Paul George, on the other end, goes to the team with Russell Westbrook, can't get past the Jazz, who are terrible. Donovan Mitchell, okay, he's something else, but you have Russell Westbrook, Paul George, okay, Melo was hogging the ball a little, but still, can't get past the first round. Look at Klay. He's been winning. He wins wherever he goes, and he's just a team player.
So you're crediting Klay because he's on one of the greatest teams of all time, but you're not going to credit Paul George even though he lost. So you're just looking at wins and losses. You're not going to look at the player at all. In that case, Sean Livingston's better than Paul George. Iguodala's better than Paul George. I mean, what are we doing here?
No, Ryan, you got me wrong. I'm not crediting Klay because he's on a great team. I'm crediting Klay because he's able to fit in with a great team. Paul George, wherever he goes, he can't seem to fit in. But Klay, I'm sure if you put him anywhere, if you put him with Ross, you put him with even with the Jazz.
Klay Thompson played on the same team his whole darn career, and you talk about fitting in, my man? Come on now.
He's fitting in. Whoever you bring in, he's fitting in. He's not talking. He's not screaming. He knows his spots. He knows his role. He knows what he has to do to win. I'm sure if he goes another
Klay
team...
Thompson plays defense, and he sits there and shoots three-pointers. And I don't want to downgrade what he does because he's one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time. But if you're talking about fitting in, you don't need to make a read. Catch the darn ball and shoot it. He doesn't dribble. Catch, be ready to shoot. So it's talking about fitting in. Paul George does just about everything. So fitting in, that's a different type of fit in. And if those guys aren't getting him open shots, Klay is going to have a hard time. So if you're comparing the two, which are two great players, I'm taking Paul George. He does more. Come on, man.
ESPN Radio presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at progressive.com and do that today. T.O. says, I'm not going to Canton. And Canton has a rebuttal to Terrell Owens. Tell you what that is next. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show. Dave Rothenberg, that's me. Ryan Hollins, that's him. Dave Rothenberg, that's me. ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha 990. I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here? I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast. Damn it, I mean it!
It is Dave Rothenberg and Ryan Hollins in for Stephen A. Now, you can surprise a friend or a loved one today with a bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com when you order a dozen multicolored roses for only $29.99. You'll get another dozen absolutely free. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Ryan Hollins, I know you love that you can place a wager on anything, anywhere.
I love it. It's good for the sport. I just worry for safety when we start talking about where guys are going to go with their families and where they're going to live. Let's keep it on the competitive side, but I love the money, the moolah that's going to come in for Dave Rothenberg.
All right. Per OddsShark, guess who is the favorite to land Kawhi Leonard right now?
If I'm looking for a favorite, the last I heard was Philly, but I would assume that the Clippers have somehow snuck into the mix.
The Clippers are the fourth favorite in the sweepstakes for one Kawhi Leonard.
Okay.
The Lakers are third.
Lakers are third.
So the Spurs are second.
Spurs are second because they have control. We can't forget that.
The favorites.
Hold on. Let me get. Is it a team that is not in America? Is it a team? Toronto Raptors.
That's America. That's North America. Yes, the Toronto Raptors are currently the favorites to land one Kawhi Leonard. Be nice to get some talent back in the Eastern Conference, wouldn't it?
Hey, Dave, real quick. We really are like brothers because I feel like any little thing I'm competing with you. You bring the worst or the best out of me. I'm not sure.
That's good.
I hope the listeners enjoy it.
Well, that's good. All right, listen to this. Let me bring this out of you, my friend. All right,
what you got, brother?
Hall of Fame executive director Joe Horrigan said this about one Terrell Owens. The focus for the ceremony introductory weekend of the new Hall of Famers, the focus, he says, is on the guys who are here. Let's make something clear, he goes on to say. This is according to Talk of Fame Network's Clark Judge. This isn't the Pro Football Hall of Fame being vindictive or punitive. It's about being sensible. They're not going to even mention Ryan Terrell Owens Hall of Fame weekend. Horrigan pointed out the situation isn't unlike a senior who decides to boycott his school's graduation. His name isn't mentioned and his diploma isn't awarded.
I don't mind that. But by mentioning that, you actually bring the publicity and attention to it. Terrell Owens is one of my good friends, and we had talks about this. And you know what? He just wants people to respect his decision. And he's a day one type of guy. Dave, when I say a day one type of guy, that means that he's going to have his same consistent attitude and appreciate the same people that were with him early in his career and stood by his side.
But why is he not going? If you're friends with him, what is the point? Because he wasn't voted in first time around?
He does. He has a problem. There's a lot of scrutiny in his career, and he just feels like the people that are most important to him, he's going to celebrate with them.
Well, why doesn't he bring them to the Hall of Fame then?
I guess it wasn't that easy, man. He's made a personal choice, and he wants, and you know what? He doesn't care about the people who are going to scrutinize him, because those are the ones that are going to scrutinize him. But the people who've been with him and know him intimately, he wants you to be down with him, man. He's made the choice, and he doesn't mind the scrutiny that's going to come. He's had to deal with it his entire career. So, T.O., shouts out, much love, my brother. You have made your success. You are responsible for it. And when you step into the ranks of the Hall of Fame, it was you that did the work, man. So it's his way. I ain't mad, Dave. It's his way. That's his choice.
It's his way, and a lot. Let me get to this. When's the last time you were at the game or the concert? Go to vividseats.com/ESPN today for your exclusive discount offer. Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. You have to understand, and I'm hoping that he understands.
You're heated. You rushed that one. You're heated. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
You have to understand, and I'm sure he must understand as well, that people are annoyed that he's not going to the Hall of Fame, right?
People have always been annoyed with T.O., but that didn't stop him from doing his work. Nobody was with him when he came back from a broken leg to participate in the Super Bowl. Nobody was out there catching passes with him. And yes, he's a different cup of tea when it comes to the locker room. T.O. is what T.O. is. So he's going to stand by his word, and he ain't changing for nobody. Don't you respect that a bit, Dave?
No, I don't understand why he wouldn't go. It's the highest individual honor that the sport has to offer. He's getting inducted, and he's not going to show up. But why?
He's got a right to do it. He's
of
got a
course
right.
He
Does.
does.
He wants to do it his way. No, you're saying he doesn't. I don't get why you don't understand.
I didn't say he doesn't have a right. Of course he has a right if he wants to make a decision like that. No, I'm
you
not.
You said you don't understand it. If you don't understand it, you don't have a right.
I don't understand why he wouldn't want to show off and be excited about the fact that he is getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. Or now what he's doing is he's not going to be inducted. He'll get in, and no one's going to even be able to discuss it.
He's been looked over hundreds
We will
of times.
pick this up tomorrow, Ryan Hollins. For Ryan Hollins, I'm Dave Rothenberg, in for Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN app.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.